Hi, everybody. This is Cindy Kerstetter coming to you on behalf of The Belonging. This week we have been reading chapters 22 and 28 in the book of Proverbs. Proverbs is an amazing book. I am reminded of that as I reread these chapters, although sometimes it does feel like I'm trying to drink from a fire hose, but let's see what we can get out of it today. The book obviously has a lot to say about being wise. At the church I ministered in before we came to Wilmer, there was a woman that I knew who was very successful in her position of managing people and in managing healthcare services. She was a speaker all across the nation, giving seminars on management. And once she was asked what would be her top recommendation of a book that they should read to help them learn about managing people, and she answered quickly without hesitation, the book of Proverbs. And you know why? Because the wisdom of Proverbs is timeless and it pertains to all of our life and our relationships. So, way back in chapter 1, verse 7, we read that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. It's not that we fear God, obviously. We know that God is a very definition of love. But the word fear here means more that we humble ourselves before Him, that we acknowledge that He is God and that we are not, and that we recognize He's the creator and we're the created. So that's our position that we want to start with in order to gain wisdom. In our reading this week, in chapter 22, verse 4, I read from the New International Version. It says, humility is the fear of the Lord, which we read in that first chapter. And the second part of it, the verse, is its wages are riches and honor and life. Wow, I might paraphrase that as saying, remember that God is God and you are not, and order your life according to His wisdom, and the result is riches and honor and life. We can see a clear example of this truth in action in the life of Solomon, who wrote the book. In 2 Chronicles 1, 7 through 11, I'm just going to read this to you. God appeared to Solomon and said to him, ask for whatever you want me to give you. And Solomon answered God, you have shown great kindness to David my father, have made me king in his place. Now, Lord God, let your promise to my father David be confirmed. For you have made me king over a people who are as numerous as the dust of the earth. Give me wisdom and knowledge that I may lead this people. For who is able to govern this great people of yours? And God said to Solomon, and pay attention to this, since this is your heart's desire, and you have not asked for wealth or possessions or honor, nor for the death of your enemies, and since you have not asked for a long life, but rather for wisdom and knowledge to govern my people over whom I have made you king, therefore wisdom and knowledge will be given to you, and I will also give you wealth, possessions, and honor, such as no king who was before you ever had, and none after you will have. Wow, that's incredible. Further down in chapter 22, let's take a look at verse 17. In the New International Version, it says this, pay attention and turn your ear to the sayings of the wise. Apply your heart to what I teach. Here, Solomon is instructing his son to get wise by turning his ear and paying attention. But the great commentator Matthew Henry, he also points out the importance of that other part of our bodies that is mentioned in that verse, namely our hearts. He says that serious attention and a heart full of faith and love and close consideration are essential to getting wisdom. And this next statement that he makes is one I want to remember. The ear will not serve without the heart. I think what Matthew Henry is onto and what he's saying is that the quest for wisdom is a venture that originates in our hearts. Ears don't hear very well when the heart is not in love with the one who is speaking. There's a story told about a young man who came to Socrates, the great Greek philosopher, in hopes of gaining wisdom from him. They met, and to the young man's surprise, Socrates took him out to a lake and dunked him in the water. And even as the man was struggling to come up for air, Socrates held him under. And eventually, Socrates let him up. Later, after recovering a little bit, the young man asked Socrates why he had nearly drowned him. And Socrates replied, "Well, what is it you most wanted when you were under the water?" "Air," the young man replied. Socrates responded to him, "When your desire for wisdom is as great as your desire to breathe, you will find wisdom." We saw in the life of Solomon that it was his heart's desire to gain wisdom. And we also saw that when he had his priorities straight, that his heart was in love with God and that he wanted the wisdom of God, then God was able then to also bless him with riches and honor and life. I'm confident that all of you who have joined in reading Proverbs to start 2021 are doing so because you love God and that you long for his wisdom. And boy, don't we need it more than we ever have before. And you can be sure that in your quest for wisdom, you will be blessed by God for it. So I hope you have a great day. I hope the rest of your week is wonderful. God bless you, and I'll see you soon.